welcome back to the second video of David67 Celtic News YouTube channel. Today's second video, much happier, brighter, cheerier video for any of you who watched the first one this morning. This video relating to Celtic women's side and their wonderful 7-0 victory over Spartans yesterday afternoon in the Scottish Women's Premier League. The 7-0 win keeps Celtic in second place, one point behind Rangers, who are currently ahead of us in the league, but it significantly improved our goal difference yet again, and our goal difference is now 9 goals better than Rangers, which could come in handy very much at the end of the season. And we are, 7 points ahead of third place Glasgow City, and a remarkable 44 goal difference goals ahead of Glasgow City in third place. With the way things are in Scottish women's football, Celtic, Rangers, Glasgow City are all able to take off points off each other. That then is the next level with teams such as Hearts and Hibs and Partick Thistle, who are several steps behind, but all of whom on their day can take a point or two off of the big three. So after the winter break, which comes after next Sunday's match against Hearts, there will be a lot of very important fixtures in late January through into February, prior to the split in the league, where top 6 and bottom 6 will split off, and there'll be some very, very important key fixtures between Celtic, Rangers and Glasgow City, which will decide where the title goes, much like last year, which was decided literally in added time of the Rangers-Celtic match, Rangers-Glasgow City match, where a goal which would have definitely been allowed by VAR was disallowed by the referee in a game where there was no VAR to overrule refereeing decisions. Celtic's game that afternoon had finished a few minutes before, and at one point Celtic were winning the title, which would have given them the double, as a week later they went on to win the Scottish Cup over Rangers. But as things turned out, Celtic very unluckily lost the title on the last day, in the last minute or two, to Glasgow City. Yesterday's game against Spartans was a wee bit unusual. The game was 0-0 at half-time, which is a bit unexpected given the fact Spartans are down in the bottom 3 or 4 in the league, likely very safe from any form of relegation, but a bit lower than expected in the league. Spartans apparently started rather well, had a few chances early on, but the Celtic defence, as is usual, held out strongly. So they got more and more into the game as the half wore on. Caitlin Hayes hit the bar. Chances for Murphy Agnew and Amy Gallacher. And by the end of the half, Celtic were well on top. Fran Alonso, the manager, did make a couple of substitutions at half-time, bringing on the Chinese pair Shen Menglu and Shen Mengyu, who had been away on Chinese international duty and were later back to the Celtic training complex than the rest of the players, and so they were given, in essence, the first half off. The 2 Chinese players came on, one in central midfield replacing Colette Kavanagh, and the other replacing Noor Amani Adi on the left side of attack. And Celtic played with even more attack and vigour and strength in the second half, and scored some very, very excellent goals in the second half. Caitlin Hayes scored twice. A very clever flick header after a wonderful cross by Paolo Partido. Amy Gallacher, very good left foot finish from the middle of the box after Caitlin Hayes had hit the post with a header. Lovely shot from Jenny Smith from the edge of the box, high into the net. And a very nicely worked move, getting the ball into Claire Goldie, who had, again, a lovely right-footed sweeping finish into the far corner across the goalkeeper. And later on in the half, Celia Barclay, on as a second half substitute, scored a nice finish to put Celtic 5-0 up. Slightly scrappy header by Caitlin Hayes, deflecting a header that was probably net bound from Chloe Craig, and then possibly the best goal of the match. Just a minute into added time, Amy Gallacher, a very powerful, skillful run down the left side of the pitch, cutting in, and a lovely cross into Murphy Agnew, one of my favourite players so far this season. And Murphy Agnew, the Harvard graduate, lovely sweeping left-footed finish past the goalkeeper into the corner of the net. Fran Alonso, as is often the case in these post-match interview, fully accepting that first half wasn't as good as it should have been. The performance wasn't as cohesive as it should have been, and a wee bit unlike his counterpart Brendan Rodgers, taking some of the blame onto himself rather than, as Rodgers seems to do all the time, loading it entirely onto the players and blaming the players for everything. Fran Alonso very often, quite rightly, shares the blame between himself and the players, talking about not setting up the team properly, selection difficulties, tactical changes, and unlike Rodgers, Alonso's half-time changes and team talk made a real difference to Celtic's success. So, very good for Celtic women's side, 7-0 win. Keeps the chase with Rangers very close. And Celtic's final match of 2023 will be against Hearts away at the Oriam Centre, which is where is in essence the Heriot Watt University sports complex. It's an artificial pitch, and so not ideal for Celtic. However, usually is a team and a ground at which Celtic do well. It will be at 4:10 next Sunday, which usually means it's going to be covered live on BBC Scotland television. And weather permitting, I'm very hopeful that I'll get along to the game to watch it live next Sunday. If not, I'll be able to watch it as live on TV instead. There has been no further mention of the possibility of Fran Alonso leaving the club. It's said that there's been an offer of taking over as manager of Monterrey in Mexico, but that has not become confirmed, and there's not been any further updates on those rumours or proposals. It would be rather sad to see Alonso go, as I think he is doing a good job, although there are quite a number of potential replacements from within, and also there are a couple of recent high-level women's managers recently in the last year or two having moved on to other sorts of jobs, and so would not necessarily be that significant loss to lose him to Monterrey, although the first few weeks of the season prior to the end of the mid-season winter break can be quite important, as Celtic, I expect, will be trying to bring in a couple of new signings, primarily in additional support for their front two, to back up the usual starters, Kit Lafersky and Gallacher, although in the last 2 or 3 weeks, Murphy Agnew has become a very important player for the club, scoring 4 goals in the last 2 matches. So, finishes things off for today. Very, very positive result for Celtic. A lot of Celtic's best players coming through in the end, unlike the men's side. Good, strong performances. Excuse me, coming off the bench, unlike the men's team, and a manager who took some of the blame to himself, unlike the men's team, and a manager who at half-time and through the second half made changes to the team, the tactics, the formation, the setup, and the mentality, which changed the result positively for Celtic, unlike the men's team. So, to all intents and purposes, the Celtic women's team restored some of the pride and honour to the Celtic club and the Celtic name, which had kind of been lost by that pathetic performance by the men's team in the second half against Kilmarnock a couple of hours before. So, thanks for listening, thanks for watching. Hopefully you appreciate some coverage of the Celtics women's team, which is rarely covered by any other Celtic channels on YouTube other than the official team channel. And if so, do feel free to click that subscribe button. Keep my subscriber number slowly going up and up for Christmas. It would be a wonderful Christmas present to me if you chose to subscribe to the channel, completely free, no obligation, and it does make me so happy as we get near to Christmas. So, goodbye and hail, hail.
Yeah.